Welcome to the Didi Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
Hello and welcome to the Didi and Lital Show with the Offspring.
With the Offsprings.
Hi Ron, welcome to the Didi and Lital Show.
Get close to the mic and say hello.
Hello. My name is Ron, and this is my debut.
Yes, and he's here.
Welcome.
He's here under duress.
I am here under duress.
And Leah is back by popular demand.
Hello.
Yeah, we realize we're getting the crew. We're getting the crew before you're off to college, and we have good topics to share with the youngsters and get your opinions on. So
We're starting with the biggest news in Boston sports, I think, for the decade.
DD Sports Report.
Producer Dave, buddy, I need your help here, buddy.
Sure.
The Jaylen Brown trade.
The biggest trade in a decade. Well, as far as Boston sports go, the Mookie Betts trade is the only thing that was more sort of devastating and shocking.
I have to say that for me, this is Babe Ruth level disaster.
You think?
Yes. The Mookie Betts thing, this was like already the Titanic. So you basically, you hasten the sinking of the ship. Mm-hmm. This is like you took a championship caliber team and said, you know what? We don't need championships around here.
We don't need the finals MVP who was like sixth in the MVP voting overall last year.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought, what was your reaction when you first heard? And how did you hear?
So I was walking, I was on my calisthenics walk of the old man, and I was listening to the Felger and Maz, and it was going to the Boston hour, and I was debating. I was just lazy to switch off the baseball hour for a little bit because Maz was just ranting about the World Cup and stuff like that. He didn't actually get into this. And then suddenly he says, holy shit, guys, this is not the baseball hour anymore.
Yeah. Well,
it's the Jaylen Brown. It's the Jaylen Brown hour.
I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a hoax.
Yes.
And started reading some of the comments, and I've been able to at least sort of understand the thinking behind it at this point, because the thinking, I guess, is they never really were going to keep the two of them. It was impossible with the contracts. But I don't see why now. What was the rush?
I don't see a reason for why now. I don't see a reason for even keeping them with the contract. That sounds to me like bullshit. The fact is most teams that win need the two superstars to win.
Yeah.
You needed Steph and KD. You needed you need firepower to win in the NBA. And it's very dovetails into our whole episode today because they were driven by statistics and analytics and the outcomes. The management outcome is to save money.
Yeah, that's the only rationale I can come up with, is there is that very surprising statistic that the Celtics record without Jaylen Brown has been better than it with Jaylen Brown.
This is where the statistics and the outcomes actually are very misleading. It's they were looking at this the wrong way. It's the same thing as like the guy from the Cavs saying we should be up 3-0 in the series when they were down.
Yeah.
And that is something that is driving a lot of the private equity led basketball teams these days to think of the up and down, the scoring probabilities, and they're not using their eyes.
Yeah. Watch the games. Really.
How about you watch the game?
Watch the games.
Watch the game. And also there's another element of this that people are kind of getting wrong, and it will take a while for the industry to autocorrect. And that is that the private equity people think that they're looking at win percentages, while they're failing to understand something more important than this. This is an entertainment business. You're here for the entertainment value.
Right.
Sometimes teams that suck beautiful are better than an analytical team that sucks bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you see this a lot of times with football teams, that you see that the Dan Campbell teams are a great example of this. Yes, they have analytics. Yes, they have all the stuff. But eventually, the meathead makes meathead decisions, and they are a fun team to watch because they either win big or blow up in flames. So this is entertainment value. And that's the thing that I wanted to drive our conversation for today's episode. But this, by the way...
So do you think it was a mandate from
Yes.
the ownership?
Yes.
Okay.
Brad Stevens is too smart.
It's funny you say this because the day before the trade, right where you're sitting right now, Didi, Rich Gotham was saying. Rich Gotham is actually the president of the Celtics.
Okay.
And it wasn't my show, but he was talking about how basketball sports have become a new, just kind of smart investment for the uber rich. And if that's the case, it's very depressing because sports is supposed to be different because you can make a lot of money without winning. And that's maybe what they're thinking here.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Well,
so
we can have a full episode about money and sports and stuff. That's a topic of its own.
Yes.
And since we are sitting here just
But
quiet, all of
Me
us.
and Didi are just going to do the rest of the show. You guys can
Exactly. I saying,
just
I'm going to channel you to a topic. Of
yeah,
today.
but one quick thing. For
because
people,
nobody listens
Let him
to
have
it.
his sports talk.
No. One quick thing that to think about.
Yes.
Leah. Mm-hmm.
What's happening tonight?
What do you
know?
What do you know about sports?
Yeah, do you know what's happening tonight?
I'm assuming the World Cup.
No,
No.
Travis Kelce and Tay Tay.
Do you know where they're getting married tonight?
Oh,
MSG.
yes, I've
Fake
heard.
fan.
I know this. This is all conspiracy theory.
What's
Not.
People-
It was in the news.
People are saying that nothing is going on and this is just a conspiracy theory.
No, it's happening tonight in Madison Square Garden.
No, it's not. People who live in New York are saying that nothing is going on.
People
and
who
it's
live in
just
New York
Live
are
in New
idiots.
York,
press.
a bunch of idiots voting Mamdani. Like, what do they know? A bunch of communists.
As a matter of fact, I actually did not know that was happening. 'Cause
Okay. Yeah,
I have
you
I'm
have
not a-
no,
I'm
you're not
I'm
connected
not
to.
a fake fan.
Well, I have
and it's not happening
I have real
tonight,
taste in
Ima.
music.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Okay. So, topic of today. We'll listen to two podcasts.
One more thing that's important in sports.
No.
Team USA won. Team USA won.
I thought you
USA.
will start with that. and
USA.
USA.
I thought you were only going to talk about
No.
Team USA soccer and, and all the Europeans are gone.
Yes, because they suck, and
And they don't have air conditioners.
they don't have air
They don't have
conditioners.
And people are
conditioners.
dying over Europe because they're against air conditioners.
Yes.
By now, they should get the
Get the memo.
modernization is happening, which is also a
More
good
deaths
segue.
more deaths by heat stroke per capita than
Guns.
in Europe than gun violence per capita in the U.S.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. They should get it. There is a
Though this is-
simple solution,
The difference
which is called
between
air conditioner.
The difference between I feel like me and my mother, who's now talking, is I was not surprised
Okay.
by this. This is not real. Like, it's not really a surprising statistic.
That people are dying because of heat strokes.
More than guns,
Yeah,
because
it's freaking hot.
and also people tend to overestimate it's kind of like shark attacks. People overestimate the amount of times that happens, which it does happen a lot, but people overestimate how much this happens just because of how vividly you can picture it. Most people cannot picture like their family and friends dying from heat stroke, but everyone can imagine a loved one getting shot.
Didi, your
This
son,
is
your
such a
son
good
is
point.
your son is incredibly insightful. I don't know what you've been talking about all these weeks.
Yes. and that is a perfect segue to the topic of today, because which is about us measuring the wrong things and maybe not letting innovation comes in. So let me start by talking about, we'll listen to a podcast, silly one. It's called Elephant in the Room. Actually, we highly recommend it. It's like taking very hard to talk about stereotypes and things and checking if they're actually substantiated and not, looking for data. So the title was Are Asians Really Bad Drivers? So, there is this stereotype, right? And we've been maybe seeing in the neighborhood, somebody new in the neighborhood, that I'm not going to say what's the background, but like seeing like they don't know where they're driving. But the point of him looking at the stats was actually the race that has the least fatalities in car accidents is Asians.
Per mile.
And then
Which was also important because
What's the highest? Like what race
The
is
highest-
Native Americans, by far. Native Americans by far, like 3 times more
and then
than
I
any
think
other.
it was white. And then there is a huge
So
difference
it is
between
per mile per capita,
Yeah.
right? Per,
So
Yeah.
the idea is
Percentage.
is to adjust for the amount of time people drive.
But the point of Didi was he got upset because he was like, the title was about are they bad drivers?
Not if they're safe. So one of the things that
He said, well, they should have a different essay. What did he say?
so what my point was that he took safety as the predictor of good and bad drivers. And one of the interesting things about safety measures the extreme. So basically you're dealing with the most worst. Think of as the curve. If people are adjusted towards the middle, like most people are drivers, but some people are really bad and some people are really good, and you're measuring the median, then this is where people are supposed to measure this. While no talking. Well, the podcast safety measures the extreme. The extreme is like when I get a fatality, a real bad accident, that's really bad. But measuring how well can I, like taking 1,000 random people from each race and having them parallel park, that would measure if they're good or bad drivers, because this is an indication, can you actually drive? Can you actually take a right turn? How many people fail the first test? How many people fail things like that? That would be a predictor of good and bad driver. And why? And this is where the outcomes are different, because he was measuring the outcomes as the insurance company cares about. Why? The insurance companies care about the extreme. They care about if you live or die. They care a little bit about fender benders.
They care about when they need to pay, which is
Exactly.
accidents, basically.
No, they care more about the bad ones. They don't care so much about even the fender benders, because they screw both sides and increase the value. So they don't really care. They care about the extreme cases where they need to pay a lot. And that's the bad accidents.
So I do agree with
Which is different
Yeah.
than what I care about, which is being stuck behind a guy or gal that can't get out of our street, or that comes on the wrong side, or doesn't realize that they parked in the middle of a street that barely...
Or they parked parallel to another car and we can't get through
Exactly.
Yes.
blocking the entire street. Happened to us.
So this is what I
on Sunday.
So this is what I care about. So my outcomes that I care about, and that's why I use my eyeballs, which is what Dave and I were saying. You need to use your eyeballs and say, hey, this doesn't look right, because there's a difference between the outcomes I care about. Like in sports, I want to be entertained and I want to have a fun game. I care about this more than will this guy make the 3-point shots per the amount of money we pay them. So this is a very
So
different...
it's a different measurement. It's a different outcome you're
we
looking.
care about a different outcome.
Yeah. Ron, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I mean, basically what you're saying is someone's driving skill does not necessarily equate to whether or not they've killed someone. It doesn't necessarily equate.
This is an extreme.
It's an extreme, but you can have bad drivers that haven't had like any fatalities, or like just because so.
His point
Yes,
that
the point
guy
is-
didn't prove the point, because for Didi, good driving versus bad driving is something else. It's
Yes.
not fatality or maybe there is. I think most people do equate it with the outcome of what the insurance is actually looking at. Is like how bad driving means fatal
Well,
driving.
most people equate that until it's rush hour and they're stuck behind this motherfucker.
Exactly, because the thing that is really
So how do you measure annoyance? We can say annoying drivers.
So this is something that there's
It's
enough.
unmeasurable.
No, it's not.
It is not.
I'll tell you why. There's so much video recorded by all the dashboard cams that you can use the dashboard cam statistics to measure and assess statistics. But nobody will do this because
So
then
statistics of annoyance.
it's not just statistics of annoyance.
You will
It's-
build an
it's-
AI machine
it's a-
that will rate annoyance.
There's enough cameras out there. You don't need to measure annoyance. You just need to see which drivers impede traffic.
The thing is, do we care? At the
Yes.
end of the day,
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do, because traffic costs us billions. Billions. One bad driver, because this is flow dynamics, one bad driver can cost us a lot of money because the speed in which cars move impacts the economy.
Essentially, it's the butterfly effect.
Exactly. So these are things that we, like Omri keeps asking me, how come there's a jam here when nothing happens? You remember you drive on the highway, there was an accident 5 hours ago, and you still need to slow down? That's the stuff that delays traffic. The fact that one driver can't take, this is how a river flows, and until the traffic completely clears, you have all these impediments because of a lot of bad drivers making bad decisions over time. It escalates and it causes traffic jams. One bad driver in some avenue in Boston parking the wrong way because the streets are so shitty, causing everybody to be stuck and not be able to go back. That one thing, that one driver that parallel parks for 30 minutes and causes a jam will cause a jam for hours later. So this is not
that's
something.
the quiet thing that
You've
maybe
driven on Route 9. You've experienced this before.
Exactly. So this is the thing that, and this is
Or the 95.
this is a much bigger problem than people give it or think about it. But bad driving has an impact, and one of the things that people don't think about the safety and a lot of the accidents is the accidents, the big predictor of accidents. Producer Dave, this is where I need an old dude to help me out. What do
At
you
your
think?
service.
What do you think is the best predictor for accidents and fatalities and things that will actually drive insurance costs high?
Age?
Influence.
Influence.
Driving under the influence.
okay.
Oh, for
All right,
sure,
well.
for sure.
By far.
Drinking,
Drinking by far increases everything else.
of course.
Isn't it? But couldn't it also be age? Like, for example, mine and Ron's insurance is more
Yes.
expensive than.
You-
That's because mostly because of experience.
the two extremes of the age are, yes, a problem, but it's less than people expect. So, for example, Lital was always, all of us sit there and say, please take grandpa's license away. All
Yeah,
of us
right.
say take grandpa's. Apparently, it takes a very long time for grandpa to actually be bad. It takes until they're in their mid 80s on average for it to actually register as a problem.
Have you seen your mother?
She was always a bad driver. She was
That is
always
nothing
a
to
bad
do with
driver.
age.
Okay.
She can't park.
So
That has nothing to do with
is
age.
A good also. So we have a solution coming up.
Yes.
Self-driving cars is a thing. Waymo, if you ever took a Waymo in San Fran, Vegas, it's an experience. And it's pretty cool. And maybe weird at the beginning, like you get into this driverless car. They still have a steering wheel just for show. I don't know why.
Have either of you been in a Waymo?
Of course.
Yeah, I
Okay.
did it.
It's a tour. It's a tourist attraction in.
It's cool.
It's a tourist. So the two tourist attractions that now happen in
San Francisco.
not just in San Francisco, in the towns where it is. Waymo is one. Amazon has like this golf cart that self drives. That doesn't have a steering wheel. It looks like the ID4 from VW, but there's no seating for a driver. It's called Zoom XOOM.
I think I know what you're talking about.
You have to try.
It's in Vegas, no?
Yes, it's
Okay.
in Vegas.
So, I mean, Tesla have self-driving mode,
Yeah.
so that's coming. And, but at the same time, cities like New York, Boston are now banning Waymo from coming in.
So New York banned.
New York banned. What
And
what
Boston-
ended up happening? Boston had some hearings about it.
Yes.
We heard a podcast about
So
the Boston situation.
another recommended podcast is Freakonomics, of course. They have a side show called Search
No,
Engine.
they just hosted them, I think. Whatever.
They have a
There is
side-
an episode.
There's an episode by if you look at Freakonomics plus Search Engine, you'll find the episode about self-driving cars in Boston. And that episode was fascinating. Really fascinating because it showed all the stuff that is wrong in Boston, including the trading of Jaylen Brown, because it shows that we're fucking idiots.
Took a Waymo out of town.
Exactly. It shows that the decision
You can't
making
have
in
nice
Boston
things.
is done on all the wrong things.
Basically, all they say is it's all about the union.
No, it's not.
That's what
It's not.
That's what the whole. They said it like 10 times.
They said it's
That
about the unions,
It's
but
about the unions.
People do things other than what they say.
exactly. So they had two
It's really
communist
interesting.
ladies. They had two stupid communist ladies on that committee. When you
But
hear them,
I
when you
have
hear
to
them
say,
talk,
it's. I don't want to get. I'm gonna be the one to say let's not go into the specific politics of it.
but the politics of it is fascinating.
So listen to the podcast, but I do want to get into the main point, which I think we all been thinking about. AI technology taking jobs, and the whole point is Waymo is coming in and will replace human drivers, basically Uber drivers, taxi cab drivers. It's driverless. That's the whole point. And most of those now in Boston, even Uber drivers have become legal to unionize and are on the way after a ballot question on the last election that went through. So they're all protected by the union, and the union came and lobbied to not allow Waymo to come in because it would basically take the jobs of the drivers. And people talked about it, how important it is to have a human driver that cares about you, that if you have a heart attack in the car, the driver will take care of that. And the devastating thing about an industry being smashed by technology, which is the reality we're going to face. We're already facing in some areas.
When Uber came out, wasn't this the same thing with the
100%.
taxi
100%.
drivers?
100%. And the union fought it like crazy. And then Uber came in. And that's the reality. It's the change is inevitable because at the same time, when they were all talking about protecting lives, human against the machine, we should take care, with all due respect to the technology, we should take care of the families and the people that are driving and making a living. And then comes a group of blind people and handicap saying that they cannot get a decent job because of transportation being an issue for them. A blind in the winter of Boston, really hard for him to get to his work.
From point A to point B.
If you have, if you're handicapped, in many cases, the Uber drivers, seeing that you are handicapped and it takes extra time to you to get in and out and put your wheelchair in the car, they may pass the ride. And people came and say it. If we have automated self-driving cars, we, the blind, can actually have a transportation of our own. We're worried you are kind of like taking us and not considering our freedom. And then nobody even started talking, which I think this is going to be the
big
problem
thing.
in the future, the big thing.
The outcome
about
is safety.
Safety. So the reality is, and they have the data, Waymo already have so much data that nowadays self-driving cars are
Significantly safer.
100x probably safer than human drivers. That's
Yes.
the reality. So I'm thinking, okay, Boston can stop it for a while, but when more data comes in, would they be able to make life less safe to the Bostonians versus moving to self-driving cars?
So what happened was in New York, Mamdani stopped it. In Boston, they kicked it out to the state level because Boston couldn't make a decision. And Dave, this is an important thing because, again, you're a very sharp guy and you know the Boston speak. Which union you would expect resist the hardest? And
whatever the contractors and construction workers.
the
right?
Teamsters, you'd expect
Teamsters,
expect the Teamsters to be the. But Sean O'Brien is a smart guy. He is actually looking for a compromise. He's trying to find a way for the Teamsters to find a way to compromise. He's the only one that actually came out and said, look, this is very much like the longshoremen with the containers. Containers came along. Everybody, our age, nobody thinks of containers off boats because all we remember are containers.
Right.
But prior to, like in the 40s, 50s, people used to have a longshoreman.
Of course.
Remember
People were carrying the goods out of a ship.
Yes.
And you have a lot of labor doing it.
Yes.
So they didn't want containers to come in because basically container is being lifted by a crane.
Yeah, but that had to stop because you can't stop progress. And the longshoreman, which, by the way, the best example of the longshoreman is from The Wire.
I was just thinking of that. They had a whole season dedicated to that.
Exactly. So,
And it really showed you how complex the politics and the things going on under the table have to do with that whole world.
yes. And the fact is that Sean O'Brien, probably fourth generation, the guy looks like a fist with eyes. Classic Bostonian. You hear him talk, you realize that he's 100% Boston. He's the only guy with a working brain that came to this and said, we need a compromise of how we make sure that union jobs get saved when Waymo comes to town.
So what did they do with the containers?
So the containers
at the time?
What they did with the containers is make sure that people were paid
for early retirement.
For early retirement, they made sure that there's a training for jobs that are not this. Somebody needs to maintain the crane. Somebody needs to grease the crane.
Operate the crane.
You need crane operators. You need people that maintain the cranes. You need people that deal with the amount of traffic in and out of the harbor. So basically,
Which is kind of like what Waymo say. You still will need to vacuum clean the Waymo. Somebody will need to operate it in a way, fix it, get it into.
If it has a bug.
Yeah, whatever. So
replace the camera.
Maybe it's less people, but there's still labor going on.
There's labor going on, and this is what the Teamsters were trying to say: is like we want to operate the Waymos because this way they can guarantee effective retirement for their employees. So the Teamsters
Plus
are the only ones that are actually thinking
they need to certify
that they're assuming that progress is coming and that they can't stop it. So they're looking at the outcome.
100%.
They're looking at the outcome and they're thinking of their drivers. They're thinking like what happens with the truck. So they're thinking, what do you do with a truck? They're already assuming that the cab industry is dead, and they're assuming that
it kind of is,
and assuming that the ambulance space is gonna die as well, because these cars will
natural progression is
will move
self-driving
faster.
trucks.
But on the truck side, there's a lot of operations that need to happen on the truck. You need to connect, disconnect, make sure that somebody loads the right thing on the truck. Make sure that you do all the operations around it.
Still requires humans.
Exactly. Yeah. So they want to make sure that even in the self-driving world, they're thinking of the outcome of how does your life look like post this, and if they can reduce accidents, if they can reduce friction, they're making their business a lot more profitable. They're making their members a lot more profitable, which is very different than the outcome. So the lady that was arguing against it in City Hall, her claim was that self-checkouts are making old people lose their jobs because nobody's packing stuff for themselves. But that is very myopic because self-checkouts, it's already known for a fact, increase the capacity of the store by 50%. So you can't...
Yeah, people will leave the store if the line in the checkout is too big. The store will lose money.
Yes.
Versus if you streamline checkout. We've been in Costco last week.
Yep.
They're checking you out already in the line, and you just
Yes.
you're just already thinking, why aren't they just checking you out at the shelf? Like,
Yeah.
why aren't
They
you
are working on
already?
it. They are working.
Yeah, everybody's working. Like, why would you just pick up something from the shelf already, kind of scan it?
So part of the
when
reason-
you are checking out, everything is scanned. You just pass your
So part
card,
of-
or you pass your card at the beginning of the. When you get to a Costco, you already kind
Scanned.
of on the screen scan it. You can scan your credit card, and
Most people
basically check it out.
Most people already link their credit card into Costco,
True.
so it's not.
Amazon is already having tons of stores in airports.
So
with
your friend,
automated
so the
stuff.
that lady Julia Mejia, that's the reason that it's not happening in Boston.
Because at the end of the day, but that's the point. It's good for the store. It's not good for the employees.
It is
but
good
there
for
are
the
still
employees.
that are filling up the shelves, supervising the store. Like, I think there is this notion of, people want to hang out with, stay with the jobs they have. I mean, reality is that, the horse riders, the job was gone when cars came in.
The Teamsters, the name of the union, the Teamsters, comes from the fact that, you know what Teamster means?
No.
The one that drives two mules. Those were the teams. That's why it's called the Teamsters, because originally they drove mules.
Okay.
They unionized when they had mules, and they understood that eventually there'll be trucks. And trust me, there were more people driving teams of mules than people driving trucks.
For sure.
The truck replaced. There probably was a union of the chimney sweepers, but how many chimney sweepers
to your point,
left?
but I don't think so, because there were more mule drivers than riders than truck drivers.
In
The
percent-
reality,
in percent of the
of the population, truck drivers are huge, and the ability to move on only grows the economy, drives. It's a better job to sit in a truck that is air conditioned than on a mule, right?
Yeah.
We all agree modernization, going back to we need air conditioner in Europe. Like, that's like hating moving forward because of it's more humanized to not use technology and use human being is a bad choice. We need to think how you pay. Waymo should pay for those that are losing the jobs. They should pay for the retirement or hire them for other jobs. And I think that's the fair deal. And at the end of the day, if we're thinking about outcomes, the outcomes people should care about is driving sucks less. So
Yes.
if we need people to get from point A from point B, I think a world with, as much as I don't want to lose my right to self-drive, and I think I'm a little bit worried that at a
That
certain
actually-
point that will become illegal.
That will come up, and
I am all
I think that
for.
brings up a good point.
Yeah, yes.
Where you said you don't want to lose the right to self-drive.
Yeah,
Which-
I'm worried that at a certain point people will look at the stats and will say, "Oh my God,
Can't
human
have anyone
drivers!
drive.
Nobody can drive because human drivers are so risky. So let's make it
Why
illegal."
aren't they doing
Or
it?
like make
Why aren't
it-
they doing it now?
Because
For
you
that-
still don't have enough
And
self-driving
legislation
cars.
is slow, Leah.
But it may
legislation
come.
is very slow.
Like, think
It
about
should
it.
come.
It may become like the right to carry arms. Like, you will need a specific certification.
No,
to
I think
be able
I think
to do
they
it.
should take look as the best driver. I'm excluding Dave because I don't know. I've never seen him drive. As the best driver here,
Self-proclaimed.
look, I am
Not
by far-
self-proclaimed. Not
If it is
self-proclaimed.
about, if
As the-
it
as-
is
as the
about
best driver here?
parallel parking, I think the kids
No,
can
if it is
say-
about parallel parking skills, he has the parallel
No,
parking skills.
No way.
no, she can parallel park really well.
as the best.
I
No,
had
she can't. She
standing
really can't.
ovation in Boston. People in a cafe just stood up, right? You've
Yeah.
seen it, and cheered when I did my parallel parking. It's true. True story.
Near Boston Common.
Yes.
Yes.
The fact that she can't see a moose.
It doesn't matter. We're talking about outcomes. Parallel parking. I am
Moose.
the best.
Moose is like a tank with horns. But we're at my point. Besides being the best driver, and I am the best driver, I will relinquish my license like this because I am very, very well aware of the limitations of my skill.
Because you're old.
No.
Because we're human.
Because look, the third year that we were here, remember the big snowstorm of 2015? Mm-hmm. And I had to go pick one of you guys from one of the places, and everything was big ice patches. And the Infinity basically kicked in and said, stop. You don't know what you're doing. I'm going to navigate us out of this mess. Look, the cars and car safety, the fact is, there's a big difference. The machines are much better. They're faster. They're more. They're not emotional. They're not going to deal with a lot of the stuff that we need to deal with. There will always be the problem of what happened when you get into a situation if you need to take a right turn and kill one person and take a left turn and kill three.
That's a big ethical whatever.
That's a big ethical dilemma. But
I don't think even humans can actually take those decisions in the right time.
Can make those decisions at the right time. I think the fact is that I am very well aware of where my eyesight was and where my reflexes were 20 years ago and where they are today. And I know where things can be in terms of the evolvement of the car. Trust me, as soon as the Teslas get to complete free driving and I can work on my laptop while going into the city, I'm pushing that button and putting the laptop in my lap and working.
But do you agree that at a certain point there might be legislation making human drivers illegal?
I'm all for this.
You're saying no.
I'm saying it is never going to happen.
It's
never going to happen.
I think people over the age of 60 to maybe 70, they should have, like how they're allowed to retire. I think they should also have the right to have a self-driving car because of how they lose their reflexes and eyesight and stuff like that.
May I speak for a moment?
Yes.
Can I finish my sentence?
Yes.
And then you can?
Finish.
Okay.
I don't mean to interrupt.
Because old people cannot drive.
That's a big statement.
Big statement.
What? And young people?
Can't drive either.
They can't drive either. As we defined, there's a reason why my insurance is more expensive than your insurance.
So let's make it illegal and have you buy a self-driving car.
Do we think self-driving cars will get to Israel?
Oh,
Probably.
they already have the Teslas.
Well, besides Teslas, like, do you think Waymo
Yes.
and companies like that will get to Israel?
They'll have the same problem, the union protection and stuff, and they will need to figure it out.
No, they'll be a lot faster because the outcomes are so bad there.
I mean, people love
the traffic
tech adoption. There is no hate of tech
I feel
in
like
Israel,
now it is
so
time
maybe.
to bring up my point. You are all talking about what should be because of optimal outcomes. The thing is, people do not tend to think about that, especially not legislators, not voters, not everyone like that. People like their control, or to think that they have control. That's why you still have pilots, even though 90%, like airplane pilots, even though the autopilot does 90% of the work.
Okay.
That's what I imagine is going to happen to cars, because the thing is, people don't like relinquishing full control to a vehicle, and people like their ability of like, yeah, I can let the computer do this whenever I want, but I can always get complete control back. That's why I think it will, where you said before, is never going to happen, because people aren't going to vote to remove their own ability to drive. You are not most people. You are a very intelligent person who's aware of their limitations. Most people are not aware of their limitations. Most people think, I'm the best driver in the world, and they don't want to give up being the best driver in the world to a
driving is
computer.
fun.
And we do have President Camacho as president, at least for the next 2 years.
Driving is fun.
Do you know who President Camacho is?
I'm aware.
You know who that President Camacho is?
No, who's
The guy from Idiocracy.
Oh wow, the video he released last night.
I'm telling
that
you,
was a
every
thing.
time he
That
does
was a
these
thing.
things, I think of President Camacho.
Yeah.
Trump did
One of the most
Deep
prescient
fake.
films of all time.
Exactly, but it's so it's happening a lot faster than
I
we
know.
thought.
Yeah.
deep
It is
fake from
definitely-
last night. Oh my
It's
God.
definitely happening. I feel like.
All right.
Can I ask you guys one question before you wrap up?
Yes.
I don't know if you're troubled, but I'm troubled by it. It seems like every time the topic of driverless cars comes up, there inevitably is some reporting about. However, in Wisconsin, someone was killed by a driverless car or in Florida.
Of course.
There's always going to be something like that
Of course it will happen.
because people like I said with the shark attacks and the gun violence, people like to think about like safety as in, oh, I heard this one thing one time
Right.
and I can picture it in my head. I can picture my family dying like this.
But no one's reporting on the
Every day.
500,000 deaths. Nobody every day from drunk drivers and other things.
Nobody's
That is-
reporting on Karen Reed.
I mean, that's the point.
I mean,
There's
that's
so
because
few
car
of them.
accidents, like car accidents from people are so normal that it's like predictable and it's not tragic. When it's something that you're not used to, and it's something that you can picture vividly,
Yeah.
that's
But that will be very interesting, I think, because I think if overall car accidents become more rare, I think the liability on Waymo and the likes for actually every time they will cause a car accident will go exponentially up. Actually, this becoming a rare incident because of it being, in the news, this calamity, crazy event in Wisconsin or like
Wherever, yeah.
whatever. I think there was the San Francisco thing when a bunch of Waymos hoarded one spot and came on top of each other. Like, I don't know, somebody kind of hacked them to do that, whatever. That would be really interesting. I think that the price of, taking care of negligence and those kind of extreme cases will be on those manufacturers of those
sure.
tech. That would be really interesting. While now, car accidents are part of life and it's like insurance takes care of it and we just accept. It's the number one cause of fatalities in the U.S., right? That's it.
Well, I can look that up, but yeah. I mean, it's stunning, the difference in safety. But I don't know why, in some ways, you look back and it's like we created this killing machine where anyone who's 16 and a half can go in with extremely little training. And yes, you're not supposed to drink and drive, but there's actually no device that prevents you from doing it or anything like that, with very few exceptions.
Which, by the way, they could put a breathalyzer in each car, and the car wouldn't start if you don't breathalyze.
They do that.
Again,
they do.
the illusion of
they
control.
do in France. In France, they have in every. Well, not like that. The car
Really?
locks.
Not in every car.
Well, they do it
It's
for
not-
offenders, right?
Yeah, they do it for offenders.
Oh, offenders
And-
get it? That's
Yes,
that's
yes.
But I thought
very
you can
interesting.
also buy it in like in convenience stores, like in a 7-Eleven or something.
but that's self-imposed.
Voluntary, yeah.
It's voluntary.
And by the way, there's a
If you
really,
want.
really easy way to cheat this. You know what people do? They get their little, like their 3-year-old to breathe inside this. In that movie with Casey Affleck and Matt Damon about Boston, about the heist in Boston.
Yeah.
They have Casey Affleck gets his like kid to breathe.
I remember that. Yeah.
So
Okay. Human beings will always find a way to cheat.
so
I think it was interesting. How do you want to summarize?
I think the thing that producer Dave is talking about is the lobbies. The reason that there's nothing in the news that happens without somebody paying for it. Eventually, the car lobbies will be richer than the non-driving will be richer than the driving, and they will win because somebody will bribe somebody in
You're
Congress.
right. You put your finger on it. It happens in the world of the law. I know because there's a email that used to go around every year called the Stella Awards, and they were named after this woman Stella who spilled hot coffee on herself and supposedly sued McDonald's for zillions of dollars in this incredibly frivolous lawsuit. And the Stellar Wars were all these stupid lawsuits about people that won by these horrible things, like a woman fell in a department store when she tripped over her own child and sued for $1 million. It turns out that the thing that they had in common every year was they were all fake.
Yeah.
There was never a true one in there. And if you follow the money or follow the thread, it goes back to the insurance companies who are lobbying for tort reform, and so they can't get sued for things.
Cool. Awesome.
Last thoughts, anyone? Ron, Leah, we're good?
Nope, I don't have anything.
Cool.
Do you want to try
I'm all set for now.
a self-driving car?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I
Well,
would like one for the experience to, you have to see it to believe it.
I'm sure you're going to enjoy driving back home every time from college for 6 hours on the I-90.
I will.
A self-driving car may help here. The Didi Lital Show is a weekly podcast. Please rate and review us. I hope you like the entire family with Ron and Leia joining today. Share it with your family. Share it with friends. Let us know what you think. Try self-driving cars. Let us know if you like it. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.